Because it sounds like you had a couple of mentors in your career that have just been super helpful to you. So I'd love to like hear a little bit more about that. You talked about Charles Nolan at the beginning, and then you talked
Yeah,
about also when you were doing sculpture and fine art, kind of you had a mentor there. Like, what value did they bring to your career? You know, what was that like?
everything. Everything. My mentor, yeah, I take mentorship really seriously. I've always been even when I was like a student, I loved like having my favorite teacher who I would like go talk to after school or stuff like that. And that it's just always been, maybe it's because my parents are not in art and design or fashion or the creative world at all. So I always sort of had to look outside of my own circle for that kind of guidance. I come from a family where becoming an artist was not at all something that was like that was on the table, you know. And so yeah, so Charles was one of my first mentors, very much so, and he basically raised me from when I was 14 to 19. But not just Charles, I mean, he had a whole team of brilliant women also on his team, in his space. Carola, Ellen, and Olivia are three women who to this day I will text and be like, guys, this wool, is this coming out the right way? Like something doesn't smell right here. And they'll be like, yeah, no, me, like, no, back that up. And then yeah, so he and that crew basically raised me in high school. And then I went off to college where I had another incredible mentor, Douglas Ross, the artist Douglas Ross, who, oh my God, everyone here should go check out his new sculpture at the Queen's Museum. It is the greatest jacquard tapestry you will ever see. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. He's a sculptor who worked with a mill down in North Carolina to do the most incredible jacquard weaving. It's absolutely incredible.
Oh, I'm checking that out immediately when
Yeah,
this is done.
Queen's
That
Museum.
sounds
It was supposed to
amazing.
go, the exhibition was supposed to open in April, and it just opened, I think, last week. And so Douglas basically in many ways took me under his wing when I was in college, and is one of the main reasons that I transferred to RISD. He looked at my work and was like, you look like you like glass. And I was like, I do like glass. I love materials. Like, that's what I want to be doing. He was like, you should be at RISD. And I listened to him. You know, a lot of not many people would have just, heard a mentor or a professor be like, you should transfer, and like go transfer. But I did, because I trusted him so much. And he was completely right. And then throughout my 20s and to today, Janine has really guided my practice in many ways. And her ex-husband, Paul Ramirez Jonas, another brilliant artist. And so my mentors are really a mix of artists and business people, but they tend to be artists. Maybe that's because my parents are both in business in some ways. And so I don't really need someone to teach me what a P&L is. I needed someone to teach me how to talk about art. And so that's really what I look for in mentorship. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
And,
we've been very close.
yeah. And then, when you're in that situation, I'm curious, what do you think helped you get the most out of those? Was it just, being humble to all the things that you could learn and just being open, asking a lot of questions? Like, what was it that you think made those relationships work so well?
Definitely asking a ton of questions. I mean, and not being afraid to sort of call them your mentor, if that makes any sense, or if that sounds strange, but I think the more you ask, the more, at least for the mentors that I found, the more you ask, the more they're excited to tell. And you're interested in the way. I'm not interested only in the ways that my mentors have navigated their careers. I'm very interested in the ways that my mentors have navigated a creative life. So how do you pay rent and make art at the same time? How does that work? How do you make art and prioritize your boyfriend at the same time? A lot of times the art wants to come first. Like how do you do these things? And so those are questions that like I text my mentors about more often than like, hey, where do I find a really great blue plastic on the east side? They know that too. Canal Plastics continues to never disappoint. However, like I'm asking my mentors more life questions at this point. Like, it's funny, Janine gets so mad sometimes when I call her my mentor. She's like, Nomi, I'm your friend. And I'm like, no, you're my mentor.